And we're live.
Hi, Andy. Hi, Muse.
Hello from Sri Lanka.
Hi, Jean-Marie. Oh, so good to see you. Hi,
Anna. This is so fun.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Tammy. Hi, Erin. Hi, everyone.
Hey, everyone. So lovely to see familiar faces and then new names too.
Okay, so I think we may as well get started, even though a few people will be joining the call. Hey, Debbie's there. Okay. Jennifer, you can go.
Oh, welcome everyone. It's so lovely to have you here to celebrate with us. Today we have Dr. Sabater Ayize. He's going to be moderating the session for us. Dr. Ayize is the Executive Director of AMI USA. He's also one of the founders of the Black Montessori Education Fund, and I'll let him tell us more about himself and also about the BMEF. Thank you all so much for being here. It's so exciting to see so many faces.
Yes, it is really an exciting opportunity to be with you all for this book party. Woohoo! This is really tremendous. So yes, as Jennifer stated, I am the co-founder of the BMEF. The BMEF stands for the Black Montessori Education Fund. And it was actually through the BMEF that I was fortunate to even connect with Simone and some of the amazing team members with Montessori Everywhere. And the BMEF is really just striving to have more Black individuals from around the globe to engage in Montessori, whether as Montessori teachers, whether as helping to start up Montessori schools, doing research on the lived experience of Black folk in Montessori. So a way to get more engagement from the African diasporic community into Montessori. And so we are really excited. In fact, right now, we are in our second round of funding. The first round, we gave away almost over $30,000. And this time we're looking to even exceed that. And so if you know any Black individuals who might be interested in Montessori, send them to our website. It's Black Montessori educationfund.org. And if I get a moment, I'll put it in the chat for you all, for folk who are interested. And so, I do that as a Montessori parent myself, as one that was a Montessori school founder, and excited to have worked with Simone, Montessori Everywhere, to really expand this to a global footprint now. And so we're really excited for not only the BMEF, but even more importantly, to be here today with this tremendous, we want to say, congratulations for the birthing of the Montessori Baby book. And so we are really excited. And, in talking with Simone and Jennifer, they said that this is really their love letter to babies. And so I am really excited to get into this conversation with the creators of the Montessori Baby. So we're gonna go ahead and open up with just a small conversation with the authors, and then we will go into a book tour and then continue on this journey for this this tremendous resource that so many will benefit from. And so Simone and Jennifer, what I want to begin with is, how did you all even meet as co-creators here of the Montessori Baby book?
Jennifer, do you want to talk about our baby?
Sure. So how did we meet? I actually first had an interaction with Simone online. I remember in 2013, I had written a blog post and I posted it on one of the I don't remember which one now, but one of the Facebook groups, and I had asked for feedback from other Montessori teachers and creators, and she responded to me, and she was so gracious to provide some feedback, which I really appreciated. And I said, thank you. And we just kept in touch after that. And then in 2000, I want to say 18, I happened to be in Amsterdam for one of the AMI board meetings. And I asked Simone if I could come observe her playgroup, which I did. And so that was the first time that we met in person. And then in 2019, when I went back for another AMI board meeting, she invited me over to have dinner, like a home cooked meal at her home. And while I was there, she mentioned that she was thinking about writing a baby book. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. On the flight here, I was also thinking that I would really love to write a baby book. And she was like, oh, let's write it together. And I was like, sure. And so we sat there over dinner and drafted an outline for the book, and even had an idea of who would write what, and just talked about it there. And then so that was 2019, and we started to write a little bit, but most of the writing actually happened in 2020 during the lockdown, over lots of Zoom calls, WhatsApp calls, dropped calls, lots of frustrations. But we've actually only met twice and are really connected by technology. So yes, that's how we met, and that's how we came to write the book.
No, that is tremendous. Simone, did you want to add any flavor to that?
I'm just so blessed that I got to write this book with Junifer, because if anyone has met Junifer or heard her speak, which you will today, like it just comes from her heart, and her 3 beautiful children have made such a contribution to this book. I didn't get to do Montessori with my own babies. I've helped many families who could come to my classes for 15 years, but I really wanted to also co-write it with someone who had that experience, and she contributed and beyond. So yeah, it's a blessing to get to work together.
Yes, no, I think it is not only a blessing for you all to work together, but you have blessed the world with this amazing resource, as I have looked through it, and, it is so practical, so hands-on, and it is oozing with love and respect and care for the child. And so, I really appreciated that. And I guess, Junifer, you shared a little bit about how you all decided to, come upon writing the book. I guess the question that I had was, the realization of trying to respect the child, because it comes across so much your really heavy, pronounced directive to parents to respect the child. Where did that come from?
Well,
oh, you want me to talk to that? Yeah, sure. I mean, respect is something that I really think we learned in our 0 to 3 training. And when I saw Judy Orion speak with a baby for the first time, I'm like, oh, this is a different way to be with a baby. It's not like, oh, I need to teach them everything they need to know, like trying to fill them with facts and this is blue and this is green. It was this soft, welcome, intentional, graceful kind of way of being with a baby. And that's what we really wanted to express to everyone, is that Montessori is, you don't have to buy any of the materials, but we can show them respect with our hands. So the way that we actually one of the first things I remember about Junifer working with her was we had, she was on the Montessori show with Jean-Marie. Hi, Jean-Marie. And she talked about her RIE training and how they really express this in their RIE training, which is resources for infant educators, how you use soft hands with the child. And that really shows respect, because compare that to when you're kind of unconsciously undressing your child, not really respecting them at all. Instead, when you actually say, I'm going to pick you up, or I'm going to change your diaper, or I'm going to put your coat on, and you just pause to let them respond, and you're handling them with such care, that shows them how the world respects them, how we respect them. And we can show them with our homes, how we set up spaces that are intentional. Like if someone's made a guest room available for you, you feel so welcome in a space. And it's a bit like that too, when we don't go overboard, but we just make a really inviting space for our children with our time. Because I think with babies, actually just allowing them the time for movement, the time for connection, particularly like when you're changing diapers and things like that, when you don't need to rush through those moments, you can actually connect and enjoy the changing diaper. They're learning so much from that interaction, and for conversation as well as for silence, right? I should add that as well. And then also respecting their bodies, because not, you know, like you just see so many people holding their babies to get them to walk so early, or even worse, those exercises, putting them in a position before they're ready. And Montessori is so respectful to say, I trust your body is on its own timeline and will develop as it will. So we love talking about that as well.
Yeah. I think that having had 3 children who I've been privileged to use Montessori from birth for, I think that if you spend time with children and you just, you know, get to know them and how amazing and capable they are, it's hard to treat them with anything but respect. Like, you know, they start out looking so helpless, and then you see how they literally create themselves, because you don't teach them how to walk, you don't teach them how to talk, you don't actually do much, but then you watch them become, you know, humans, you know, like they're humans when they're born, but you just see how they become their own personality. You see them come into themselves. And I think that once you've experienced that, especially when you're looking at them with the right lenses from the beginning, it's hard to not respect them. So our hope is that, you know, we invite parents and caregivers to start to see children in the way that they truly are from the very beginning. So yeah.
No, that is tremendous. And again, you know, the book is, you know, just the same warmth and love that you all just, you know, I perceive in their response is what you get from the book. And so, you know, in looking at the book, it is chock full of pictures and diagrams and figures. So it is so very practical. And to that point that they just said, you know, at one point they just say, you know, people have notions around how you're supposed to interact and get all these educational materials for the children. And they just say, you know, let's stop and let's recenter ourselves in terms of how we view and look to interact with the children. And so again, that love and respect truly comes through this love letter, the Montessori Baby. So I know we're going to take a book tour, but before we do the book tour, what I want to do is one last question is, if people could take away one thing from the book, what might it be? And I'm asking this for the global community, as I see folk on from Canada, from Singapore, from the United States. So yeah. So what would be that one thing you want to offer this global gathering that they could take away from this gem?
For me, should I go? Yeah. Okay. I think should I go? Can you hear me? Yes. I'm not sure if my screen is frozen. We have a lot of stories to tell about the internet in Nigeria, so bear with me. I wasn't sure if it was frozen. Anyways, I think for me, it would just be to change the way that we see babies, to see them as capable. Actually, I have to choose 2 things. I can't say one thing, but I think changing the way that we see babies is number 1. And the second one is just that being a Montessori parent is mostly about you and your interactions with your baby. Yes, we can prepare the environment. Yes, we can buy the right materials. Yes, we can do all of those things, but I think that truly raising a Montessori baby is really in the way that we see our child, because when we see them the right way, then we respond to them the right way. We're talking to them with respect. We're touching them with respect. We're giving them the opportunity to be all that they can be. We're giving them freedom. We're allowing them to be independent. We're guiding them, but it's all of those things, the root of it is how we see our babies. We have to see them as being able. We have to see them as deserving of our time, deserving of our respect, deserving of our connection. So I think that for me, it would just be changing how we see our babies and seeing them as, you know, like Dr. Montessori said, they're human beings deserving of respect. So when we can start to see them as that, every other thing falls into place and we find ways to meet their needs with whatever we have. So that's what I hope that parents take out of this, that it starts with you. Like even if you were stranded in a desert with just your baby, you'd be able to be a Montessori parent.
So all of that, and that I'm so happy to maybe make Dr. Montessori's wisdom, which is so beautiful, more accessible to parents, because it's written to educators, it's hard to get into, and if you're a new parent, it's not so easy to understand how that would apply in daily life. So we also talk about Montessori bringing a lot of joy to parenting, because people say that it takes more time, but I actually feel like it was an investment in my time in that first year, and I got all the more back for it. It was an easier way to parent, so much more joyful, and the connection with my kids, like now that I'm in the fourth plane, it just has paid off in spades. So I hope that everyone gets that foundation from birth. And so I'm so excited.
Perfect. Well, again, I hope you all, this global gathering, I hope you all are feeling that excitement, feeling the love, feeling the respect that they share. That is, again, it oozes all through this love letter. So let's now shift gears and do a quick book tour of the Montessori Baby book.
Okay, do you see my screen, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, this is a virtual book tour of the Montessori Baby for those who haven't got their copies yet. Okay, so Jennifer, you want to start with this one?
You start.
Okay, so basically we're going to walk you through the book. We started with chapter 1, which was like our introduction. It was so fun to write this, like it's time to change the way we see babies, like what Jennifer said before. They're capable, this is what's going on for them and what we need to know. And let's, like Dr. Ayize picked up as well, like let's just stop with like trying to force them to learn faster, because like 80% of the brain develops in the first 3 years. We think we need to do more for them. So that's where we started. Let's reframe how we see babies. And then,
so in chapter 2, we talk a little bit about the Montessori principle, just Montessori principles, just taking it back, talking about the absorbent mind, and give you a brief history of Montessori, human tendencies, just some of those core Montessori principles. In the second chapter, the prepared environment and how to observe and all of those, the core Montessori principles are covered in chapter 2.
Then I think I love all the chapters, but I really love chapter 3 because it's not something that's written about much, which is those first 6 to 8 weeks, which we call the period of symbiosis. So I'm going to leave you hanging. You have to get the book to find out what the symbiotic period is if you don't know already. Oh, number 4.
Yes. So in chapter 4, we give some practical tips on how to set up your home for your child, and the different changes that you would make as your child starts to grow. We also share some perspectives from some Montessori parents like Pilar Bewley, mainly Montessori, in that chapter.
And waving out, Pilar's on the call. Hi Pilar, we'll get to chat to you in a bit later. And beautiful pictures from the home of Nicole Kavanagh, who's also on the call. Thank you so much, Nicole, for letting us share your beautiful spaces. And this is another one of the illustrations that's in the book that shows the diagrams going from 0 to 5 months, what the space might look like, how it would change to 5 to 9 months, and then from 9 to 12 months. And if anyone's done the A to I training, then you'll recognize these diagrams, and we've just updated them a little to make them more modern. Jennifer, do you want to talk to parenting?
Sure. So in chapter 5, we talk about the practical thoughts on parenting, how to gain, the importance of trust, the importance of acceptance in our parenting. From the beginning, we've already talked a lot about respect. We kind of hone in on that in this chapter. We talk about encouraging concentration, freedom of movement, basically the things that we do for our children as parents. And I saw that somebody asked if this book was only for parents. I think that as caregivers, even in the classroom, the children are kind of like our children, and many of while we talk a lot about the home, many of the practical ideas about how to parent is really how to care for a child, how to interact with a child. So this chapter, even though it says parenting the Montessori baby, could be caring for the Montessori baby, guiding the Montessori baby, just talks about how to care for a Montessori baby, basically.
Yeah, and I think that's a really valid point, because I know a lot of people read the Montessori toddler and used it for assistance in the classroom, for example, and in settings that aren't Montessori as well. So then chapter 6 is all about Montessori for activities for babies. This is a huge chapter because it talks about the importance of movement, the importance of language, and things that we can do without a lot of money, you know, to encourage these things. Basically always looking at what is my baby developing right now. And of course, we give some guidelines on what kind of activities might be typical for ages, but we always keep saying your child is unique. So please keep looking at your child, and we give lots of tips on observation, what to observe at each age and each stage. And there's just so many beautiful illustrations throughout the book. There's a lot of text, like it's over 280 pages, but Sandy Van Loan did such a beautiful job of translating our Montessori materials into these gorgeous illustrations that makes it really accessible as well.
So chapter 7 is putting it into practice. This is actually maybe my favorite chapter, actually. I think that, you know, when we learn a lot about Montessori in all the chapters, we hear about it, but in this chapter, it really answers a lot of the questions that always come up in caring for children, talking about rhythm, sleep, siblings, basically the nitty-gritty, how to some of the things that would come up as you care for your baby at the different stages. I think it's in this chapter that we also have, is this where we have that letter? It's not. Okay, but in this chapter, we basically go into the details about all of the things that you have questions about. How do I get my baby to sleep? What if my baby is, you know, what if I have an older child? How do they deal with the younger one? What if I give birth to twins? How do I Montessori with twins? So there are lots of practical tips and advice in this chapter, but it's basically putting it into practice. So in real life, what does it look like? Those kinds of questions.
Chapter 8 is the preparation of the adult, because Dr. Montessori talked so much about the preparation of the adult, and it's actually really, like Jennifer said at the very beginning, without any of the materials, we're the most important material for, particularly in that first year. So we give some tips on the kind of work that we can do to prepare ourselves before we have the baby, how we can take care of ourselves, the spiritual, mental, and independent, you know, just the things that we need to be thinking about on our parenting journey. And then Juniper, chapter 8, working with others.
Okay, so chapter 8 is, no, chapter 9, you mean, right? Working together.
Oh, sorry, yes, yeah. Thank you.
Chapter 9 is working together. All of us know that when we're caring for our babies in Nigeria and in most African countries, we say it takes a village. There's so many people that you have to work with, your partner, maybe your parents might be helping you, might have nannies, you have, if you're a guide working with the teacher, if you're a teacher if you're a guide working with the parents, and if you're the parent working with your child's guide if they're in school. So we're usually collaborating with other adults to care for our babies, and this chapter kind of addresses some of the things that might come up in those relationships, how to collaborate ideally. And there's a really lovely letter to visitors to our baby, and if you pre-ordered the book, I think this is one of the it's made really nicely as a printable that you can hang up in your living room, but it's basically a sweet letter to people who visit us, putting into words in a really nice way some of the things that we struggle with, how to interact with the baby, how to talk to the baby, what not to do.
Unmute them, there you go.
Oh, anyways, Simone, do you want to talk more to this? But yes, that's what this letter is. It's just a letter to the other adults who visit our home or who visit our space where the baby stays, on how to interact with the baby in a Montessori way. So many of us have that, you know, we get a lot of questions about, what if my mother-in-law or what if my mom doesn't, how can I tell her? So we kind of helped you tell them some of those things in fewer words and in a respectful way.
Absolutely. And then we don't leave you hanging. We go on to what's coming next as well. So we talk about the toddler years and then the 4 planes of development as well, so that you have a little perspective of what's to come. And then I think I always love these parts of both the Montessori toddler and the Montessori baby is when we get to also highlight families from around the world. It's not just Junifer and I have had a great experience with it. We get to highlight, and so grateful to all of the contributors who have just been, yes, we'd love to be a part of this book. So these are just a couple of the pages from Forest Montessori, from Montessori Chapters. We have Maria and Charlie on the call who will chat to us as well. And from Montessori by Heart, Noose, John and Julia, and of course Juniper's family. They're just a couple of the pages. So that is our little book tour. I hope you're all excited. We showed you the more visual pages, not so much the text, but we can't wait. Yeah, there's a lot of text in it.
Yes, yes. No, this is tremendous. Yes, no, this is tremendous and really exciting. And I see the excitement building in the chat. And what I also want to, again, this is their, their love letter to children, not only to babies, and really is a tremendous compliment to be able to show families in a real practical way how to do that. And also in the appendices, you will see they have a very practical timeline, even month by month, milestones and ways in which families might prepare to be able to immerse our children in the love that we know that they deserve. And so this is really a very practical resource for not only for parents, but also caregivers in many settings to be able to demonstrate that love and respect. All right, so what I want to do now is shift gears to be able to really allow, not only send a thank you to some of the other contributors that have just been mentioned, but to also just allow us to hear from some other voices. So first I'm going to ask if Maria from Montessori Chapters might want to unmute herself. And again, we definitely want to say thank you to Maria and really each one of the extra special contributors. Please, Maria.
Hello. Hi, I'm Maria, and this is Charlie, my husband. Hello. I just wanted to say thank you so much for writing this book, and also for giving us a chance to make a little contribution towards it and share a little bit of what we do in our family in there. So yeah, I found out about Montessori before my son Lucas was born. My dad loves charity shops, loves books, and he got me, he found an interesting Montessori book, and he gave it to us, and it was really interesting, and I just thought, wow, and I Googled it, and I found a really quick YouTube video that was about 3 minutes long, just summarizing what Montessori was about, and from that moment I just thought it was incredible, and I was hooked, and we've been learning about it ever since, really, and we've been applying the philosophy pretty much since Lucas, our son, was born. He's nearly 3 now, and the connection has just been so lovely to have with him, and it's really enabled me to just trust him, and just kind of, yeah, we've been talking about the respect, and just even from the day he was born, we've just spoken to him just pretty much like we would like with an adult, a little bit more kind of more gentle and things, but it's just been, yeah, really amazing, and felt really, really natural, kind of so many things we'd never thought about, like the cot bed that I've always grown up just kind of thinking the babies, are sleep in cots, but when we had learned a bit more about it, it was just so interesting that, it makes so much sense for them to be able to have that control and to be able to get out when they want to. So we just couldn't really think of doing it any other way now that the more we learn about it, and it's just been, like you said, the joy element, such a joy to see Lucas develop, and it's been lovely.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that I'd add is Maria's covered most of it very nicely, but we've just, whenever we've had the opportunity, we try to observe and follow and nurture and encourage whatever he's drawn to. So some of our friends and families sometimes joke and laugh at the way we end up rearranging the home every few months when he has a new interest, and climbing frame here and mirrors on the floor, and then nested up and adapting things. So it's been really nice to give him a place to flourish and watch him grow into and out of everything, and then on to the next thing. It's lovely.
No, thank you so much for sharing. No, and again, I think this is, a great, contribution to add some other perspectives to be able to, broaden just the realization of how we can change our perspective in interacting in a very loving, respectful way with our children. All right, so what I want to do now is, so thank you, Montessori by chapter. We're going to shift gears to Nooses to go ahead and share a little bit of Montessori by the heart. And again, thank you so much for bringing that perspective to the book too. So Nooses, please unmute yourself. Yes.
Hello, everyone. So glad and excited to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity and to be able to share our life and our story in this wonderful book that I truly, truly love. So I'm a Montessori teacher, also 0 to 6. So I think for me it was just like another process because, as a Montessorian in the classroom is way different than at home. And as a parent, my hat has to be changed. And as I explained to Junifa and Simone, at first I was like the teacher in me, like trying to go over all the materials. And I stopped one day and I observed my daughter and I was like, she is in love with this mobile. I shouldn't change it. I need to follow her. I need to respect her will and I need to respect what she needs in the moment. So that was a click, and she actually taught me that I need to slow down and I needed to be a mom. And I feel like Montessori also allowed me to, those first days where it's, everyone wants to visit you and everyone wants to see the baby, allowed me to just have that space to bond with my daughter and have my husband like dancing with her every day, like, kind of going and bonding with her. And this is something that is continuing until now. Like, she's a toddler now and she keeps going and dancing with my husband and having that bonding time together. So she reminded me that it's important to follow the child. It's important not to have all the materials, just to show respect, slow down and give the child what they need, and a space for moving and a space for nursing, and have those spaces beautifully organized and simple. Like, a lot of people was like, oh, why you don't have the nursery ready? Why is not painted? Why is everything not organized? And I was like, because it's not. Because she doesn't need 10,000 things in her nursery. She just needs a space for her to be able to sleep. And this is what it's gonna do. But it took a while, and I love the fact that there's a letter for families, because I anticipate that. We come from different cultures, me and my husband. So we come from Spanish and Brazilian, and they just like to be at home and make a party out of a children's life. And it's beautiful. But at the same time, I noticed that my daughter was like, what's going on? This is too much. So Topochino helped, come, like cousins will come and just grab her, but it was really slowly. And I asked everyone to come one at a time. So I think Montessori gave me time to connect with her and give her some space, and also let her be coming to this world respectfully and beautifully. So yeah.
Yes, no, thank you so much. No, that is great. And I think that is one of the points that is well made in the book, in terms of how to become an active observer and to really savor the moment with your child. And so I definitely want to thank you for your contribution. And I see we have some children also on the line. So Junifer, if your angel wants to share, we're gonna maybe see if she wants to jump right now. I can pass the mic. No. Well, hold on. So Junifer, you can maybe see. Oh, you ready now? Okay, yes.
No. Can't say hello. Not yet. Okay. No.
No. Okay.
Hello.
Thanks for being here, Biendu. It means a lot that you're here.
Yes, yes. Perfect. All right. So we're going to move now to also thank Nicole Kavanaugh and the Kavanaugh Report. If you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and, please bring some perspective.
Sure. Sorry, multitasking at the moment. I am so honored to be involved in this book in any tiny way. It was such a blessing to be asked to share some glimpses into our home. And I think it's hard to sum up what Montessori has done for my life. It has just changed everything about our lives and our experience in raising and being with children. And Teddy here is my 4th baby and the 3rd that I've gotten to use Montessori with. And wow, it's such an incredible blessing to parents. And I think in the biggest gift, I think, has been the ability and time to slow down. A year goes by like that. And if you're continuously worrying about whatever these things that you could be worrying about, Montessori just gives you that space to sit down and enjoy that baby right where they are, right in this second. Because if you blink, that time is just, they're off to school. They're elementary school children, and it just gives you that joy and that time to love your babies and be with them right where they are. And so that is the greatest gift I think that Montessori has given me. And it was an honor to be asked to participate in the very small way that I did. So thank you both. Congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah. Jennifer, you on mute. Jennifer, you on mute.
No, it's okay. I was just showing Biendu Nicole's pictures. And so she was, I was only talking to Biendu. Thank you.
All right, perfect. So yes, I think the point is well made, because if you blink, the children will be already off to college. So let us savor these moments. So now I see we're gonna not only allow Pilar with mainly Montessori, but then I also see Cindy and Felice with Workman Publishing to say something. So if you would, Pilar, please unmute yourself and give us your.
Hi, thank you so much. I am so thrilled about the work that the two of you have done and that I could contribute to it. I was just thinking about how, Simone, when I had a toddler, and I'm not 0 to 6 trained, I'm 3 to 12 trained. And so those 3 first years were just terrifying for me. And being able to see the work that you were doing in the Montessori notebook, and this was 10 years ago, or almost 10 years ago, but being able to see the work that you were doing in your writings just gave me so much confidence and let me know that it was, there was no like one right way, but it was very much about connecting with your child and keeping it simple. And so that was a huge takeaway. And Junie, you and I go way back. I have followed your journey and I have been in awe of your transformation. And I cannot tell you how beautiful this is to see your baby being birthed after your other 3 babies. And I just wanted to, what really stands out for me in your book and in Montessori is how there is no one right way to do this, right? And so it's not about the shoulds, it's about the connection. And I love that your book brings in different families from different parts of the world with different backgrounds, because it helps us to know that this is doable, right? And it really kind of gets rid of these misconceptions about Montessori, about it being all about structure or all about letting them do whatever they want, right? And so it's more about this dance between the child and the parent and nature. And I think that, from what I was able to see in the book, you really were able to highlight that and show how every family does it differently, and the power that brings it to it, not just to transform the relationship between the parent and the child, but to really transform society and to bring about peace, and understanding. So, I want you to know that your book is going to have a profound impact beyond, just parent and child. So congratulations. I am so thrilled that I was able to contribute in my own little way. And may this touch millions of families around the world. Thank you.
Thank you. To add is that we took a blog post that Pila had written from the perspective of her son about how he explored his Montessori environment and how that had made him feel so capable. So it was just such a beautiful other perspective that we really wanted to include that. Sorry.
No, that is tremendous. No, I think again, getting a charge to touch, millions is a tremendous charge, and I love it. So I know we have Maisie, excuse me for chopping your name if I did, and Cindy from Workman Publishing, if you want to also give a perspective from Workman Publishing.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. I'm Maisie. You did it perfectly. You said it perfectly. I had the great pleasure of being Simone and Junifa's editor on this book, and I concur with what everyone has said about the wonderfulness of bringing Montessori to parents everywhere. I'll just speak briefly about the pleasures of working with Simone and Junifa on the actual mechanics of putting this book together, and to say attention to detail would be an understatement. Every line, every paragraph, every chapter in this book is meant to take parents through to the most step-by-step, easy unfolding of what for some might feel somewhat intimidating, a totally new idea. Simone and Junifa do so much to make it feel not just easy, but like an extension of what already feels natural. It's not about getting new things. It's not about buying anything. It's not about completely changing your life. It's about folding. It's about introducing Montessori in a way that you can fold it into the life that you're already leading. And I think that is what makes this book so special, and what makes it so accessible, and what will make it so popular, I think. And it's really to Simone and Junifa's credit that they make it seem so doable. Anyway, so I'm so thrilled this is finally out in the world. It was a huge labor of love, emphasis on labor, and over a very unusual year. And I'm just so excited. I'm so excited that everyone gets to enjoy it. So thank you so much for having me. And thank you, Simone and Junifa, for doing such a wonderful job of being stewards to this such an important thing.
Amazing.
No, tremendous. And I'm already seeing, oh, go ahead.
Amazing, thanks to Maisie. You have no idea how much, like when she says attention to detail, we're like, sorry, that finger is not like a child would hold that rattle. Can you please change it? So Maisie has had to really, the attention to detail is very important for our Montessorians and our observation. So you just carried it all off with grace and humor and indulged us. And we're so grateful to Workman for spreading this so far, wide and deep. Thank you.
Well, it's our pleasure.
Yes. And now, Maisie, before we, go ahead, Junifa.
No, I was just saying thank you to her too. You were so patient with us, and not taking it. You just went with us and just carried us and carried all of our ideas, helped us to look deeper and helped us to see, and we really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Perfect. And now I see a great point in the chat in terms of how can somebody order a case of these, because it might be a great gift to give to an expecting parent or new parent. So how can folk order these by the case?
I feel like this is a great time for me to quickly jump in. Hi, I'm Cindy. I'm also from Workman Publishing. I am the marketer for the Montessori Baby, and just basically echo everything Maisie said about working with Junifa and Simone. They're an absolute delight to work with, and I'm just so excited to celebrate finally the launch of the Montessori Baby, and it's so great to see all of these lovely comments from Montessorians around the world. And Simone just mentioned here, just included the special markets at workman.com email address. If you reach out there, yes, they do great discounts for 10 plus books. And also just a note to everyone who pre-ordered the book, I just want to say a really huge thank you for your support and for your patience while we created all the bonuses. Everything was sent out yesterday, and please reach out to me directly. I'll paste my email in here if you haven't received your bonuses, and I'll email that over to you. And congratulations again, Simone and Junifer. So excited that the Montessori Baby is finally out in the world.
Woohoo! Thank you so much, Cindy. And again, I see some comments starting to come in and questions in the chat. If you all want to start populating, because we're going to shift to Q&A, but I don't know, Simone and Junifer, if you wanted to say anything to Cindy. Yes.
Absolutely. Big thanks to Cindy. Like, she just works tirelessly and always says, yes, no problem. And I got to work with her both on the Montessori Toddler and this book, and I love working with you. Alana, I don't think is on the call, so a huge thank you to Alana too, who has also reached out to do lots of publicity. That's not Junifer. My favorite bit is like putting ourselves out there. So we are so grateful that Cindy and Alana can help us get in front of all these amazing people. Thank you.
We both love working with you so much, so thank you.
Perfect. All right. So yes, Junifer, go ahead.
I was just going to concur. Thank you so much, Cindy. Again, I think the biggest thing that I appreciate about Workman is just the patience, the willingness to go into detail in the way that we wanted to, and just going the extra mile. And I really, really appreciate that. I can't imagine if we had to market or promote the book ourselves. So I really, really appreciate all that you're doing to help us get the book to the world. So thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Macy, and thank you, Lana.
Thank you.
Ayize, before we move into the Q&A, I also just want to thank everyone here. Like, there's so many people in this room that have held us, like just conversations and connecting. And there's two special people as well. Oliver and Emma are on the call, and their dad, Luke. So thank you, family, for showing up. I kind of feel embarrassed as a mama bear, but they hold me. Yeah, Emma even got to proofread the book one time because I was too busy. I'm like, Emma, can you check the edits have gone through? And her comment was at the end, Emma's there, was you can just see how much you and Junifer love babies. So a love letter to babies. Thank you, my babies.
Perfect. Well, again, yes, this is a tremendous love letter to babies. And if you want to put your question in the chat, you can. But I think we also could just, have folks to unmute themselves. And what I want to say is, I want to maybe take a quick privilege to say that I'm so fortunate here with AMI USA that Simone and Junifer have an article in our forthcoming journal where they are also sharing some of Montessori's. They say don't keep the wisdom of Dr. Montessori's secret, and they want to share it with the world. So if you all want to get a quick sneak preview, you can check out the AMI USA Journal, Spring Journal 2021 for some more wisdom by Simone and Junifer. All right, so with that said, I don't know if we want to open up for questions. So if you have a question, then please unmute yourself and let's, because I don't see so many in the chat that we haven't hit. And again, if you wanted to get the cases of book so that you might be able to give this as a ideal gift for expecting or new parents, then special markets at workman.com is there in the chat, or you can also reach out to Cindy. So let's go ahead and open it up for Q&A. All right, so everybody don't go at once now.
I'll ask a question.
Yes.
Hi, hello from Los Angeles. I'm also multitasking right now, feeding my little one. We're so excited about this book. It's been on my calendar, and I'm thrilled it's out. I have a question, and it's not to be a downer, but I just wanted to address the reality. I have a 5-month-old. We've been doing Montessori from the start. I'm a Montessori child as well. And it was the best thing that happened to me in my life, truly. But sometimes there is with the little ones, I find I get to moments where I get stuck or maybe a little bored, where the day starts to feel perhaps like a little repetitive, or we've played with the triangles and I'm sitting observing her. And I was just wondering, is that a normal part of it? Or is there something there that I could be doing shift wise? I'll observe her, maybe do something on my own. But could we speak to that at all? Just because babies seem to be on such a different, they're on their own schedule and their own plane of discovery that's different than ours.
So I guess that it depends on your perspective and what makes you like, what makes you tick. I think that at that stage, around 5 months, it could feel that way. One thing that helped me was just going outside. In the book, we talk about going out with our babies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what your days look like, but a big part of our days was just going outside, going to the park. And for me, it adds to, it gives me something to do. It gives me more things to look at. I always had other things that I was doing to keep busy. I don't know, I guess it really depends on how you look at it, but this stage will pass too. I think that comes, it's just knowing that every stage, however it seems, if it seems boring, if it seems like, the children are too active, whatever you feel, it's actually only for a short, in the grand scheme of things, for a short period of time. So I just find that, looking for ways to enjoy it as much as you can. And very soon that baby will be crawling or slithering and getting into things, and then you'll look back and miss that time where they were just, staying and looking at their mirrors. So I think that it's really about perspective. But if you're feeling like it's boring, finding ways to make it happy for yourself, finding things that you'll enjoy and baby can also participate in. I think in the book, we talk a lot about meeting your own needs. If your needs are not met, you can't really enjoy the process. You can't really meet the baby's needs. So make sure that you're finding time to meet your needs. Make sure that you're making a little bit of time to maybe visit your own friends, making a little bit of time to do things that fill your cup and give you joy. That's what comes to mind in response to that question for me.
Yeah, and I think it's just looking, when you're observing, it's like looking for the joy, because every time they connect with a new thing that moves, they're like, oh, I made that move, as opposed to I saw them move this. It's like, oh, this is the first time they've ever done this. And Junifer talks about taking her children to the market, and going to the market then I found more interesting, because I'm getting to show them all of these things, and they can smell the mango, that I'm handing over to be weighed, and involving them in daily life. So kind of seeing it as joy that way. Definitely what Junifer says about filling our own cups. And, it's not just about the baby. It's like, how can I have fun and how can they have fun too? And so one thing that we did as well, for me, I like to have something on each day in the morning to do a little outing, and then the afternoons would be very relaxed at home. And one of them was going to visit a nursing home. And so we'd go and visit these 2 ladies in the nursing home, and the ladies thought it was amazing. It was so good for my children to also see the older generation as well. And that gave us a really positive experience. So it's also being a little bit creative about your days. And at the moment with COVID, we're a little bit more limited, so we have to be a bit more creative.
Yes, I was just going to mention that there's a little more limitation, but we're coming out of it. But lovely advice. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you so much for that question. And I see there is another question here in the chat around the approach of speaking 2 languages to babies. This is Michelle, and if I'm messing up the question, Michelle says, I want our baby to grow up bilingual. I don't want to miss the sensitive period. What is the Montessori approach to raising a bilingual child? And then is there a balance that one should look for in that approach?
I love this, because babies under 6 years old have the absorbent mind, so it is the perfect time to introduce extra languages. Michelle, you're welcome to unmute yourself. I'm not sure exactly which languages are your home languages and things like that, but there's two kind of different approaches. There's one person, one language, where so someone might speak Spanish in your house and the other person might speak English, so speaking their mother tongue. There's also, which doesn't get talked about as much, but it's domains of use, which is, so I live in the Netherlands, so we might speak English at home and then Dutch when we're out of the house. And the children get used to where you're speaking the language. And then Eowyn Crisfield is the lady who's always done the bilingual seminars for our classes. She's amazing. And she talks about knowing what your goals are. So bilingualism might be that they do supermarket shopping in that language, or does it mean they're going to be studying at university in that language? What are your actual literacy goals? And you can only make decisions right now for where you are. So you might need to pivot if you change country and all those kind of things. But basically you try and spend about 30% of your week. So you actually need to write out how many hours you are talking in that language to get the input if you want it to be a literacy language. So that's a very brief answer. Do you want to add anything, Jennifer?
Oh, no, not really. Just that, you know, if you have another person who's speaking, like, who's only speaking the other language to them, that seems to be what has worked best that I know about. Like when you speak one language and another person speaks the other language, and both of you are speaking one language, one person, one language. That seems to be the best. Most of the people who have been successful that I know in raising bilingual children usually have a consistent person speaking a language to the person. Maybe a mom is speaking one language and the dad is speaking another language, or it could even be like a grandma, or just they're learning one language with their caregiver, their nanny, or someone who's helping them, and then the parent is speaking another language. So that's what I knew that works. With my daughter, I actually spoke Igbo to her, and my husband spoke English to her as a baby, and she that's how she learned how to speak Igbo. So yeah.
There you go. Little some pizzazz from the child. So yeah, so in the Montessori book, definitely we will not only hear about that love and that respect, but the question came, will this be translated in Spanish? And I think Michelle said that the two languages were Spanish and English, but the question is, what about a Spanish translation for the book?
The book is being translated into over 15 languages. It hasn't been translated yet in Spanish that I know of, but keep your eye out, because the toddler book has been translated into both a world edition and an edition for Spain. So cross fingers that we can do the same for baby. Cross fingers, that would be great. Yeah, let's see.
Perfect. So I see a good amount of response to how folk have done some of the bilingual or different languages in their homes in the chat. So check the chat, you will see some other words of advice, but I don't know if there are any other questions or comments for the co-creators of the Montessori Baby. Yes, go ahead.
I have a question.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'm here because I loved the Montessori toddler as a parent. My baby was, I think, 6 months, and I was like, I can't wait for her to be a toddler. And I've been using, you know, some of the principles that I read there, and it's been great. But one thing that we did realize is my toddler actually has autism, and you know, with that, even though she has it, it's been very, very useful. But I mean, there's another layer of difficulty that comes with parenting a baby with autism. So I'm just wondering if, you know, if you have any advice, or if you do address that in the book, or if you could address it now. Thank you.
That's a beautiful question. And what I always say about any child with, you know, that's differently wired, that has a difference, is that I love that Montessori applies uniquely to every child. So we just are meeting them where they're at, and you observe to see what milestones your child is at, how you can support them the most, when they need more help to develop skills, and how we can also, you know, Montessori is about giving as much help as necessary and as least possible. So we had children in our classrooms who've had cerebral palsy, who haven't had like the gross motor skills to be able to do some things. So we support them with the gross motor things because their cognitive development is still at the same level as a 2.5-year-old or whatever. And so with autism, it's the same. It's like, does my child need help managing emotion? Does my child need help managing social situations? How much input do they need? And Debbie was on the call earlier from she has an amazing podcast called Tilt Parenting, and she has such a supportive community for lots of differently wired children. So I think that is my number one resource for anyone raising a differently wired child. So do you know Tilt Parenting? No.
Simone, can you put that in the chat?
Absolutely, put it in the chat.
Yes, thank you. Perfect. All right, and I think I see Paula has her hand up. Yes, Paula.
Hi, yes, Paula here from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Thank you so much for this beautiful book. I wish it was in my hand a year ago, as I have my third child has just turned 1 in March. My older one is 7 and 4, and 1 is my little girl. And lucky to have for both Montessori at home, thanks to the Montessori from at the beginning. And I am so thankful for the book for this time right now. And I wanted to ask, since I have the three kids right now at home and the little one, sometimes I feel overwhelmed of how do you have them together sometimes at a Montessori point where the little one is in a need, but she wants to do what the 4-year-old is doing and it's not yet. How do you manage that at home? How do you help them to still have their time and follow all 3 of them at the same time and give them still that independence? And it's lovely to see my 7-year-old wanting to help the one, but sometimes it's just too much of seeing at home. But I believe in following them. I believe in giving them that independence and giving them the love and attendance to what their needs are. But sometimes it can be very overwhelmed with 3 at home, especially under the pandemic. It was stressful to have a newborn and have them at home at the same time with virtual school. If you can just, I know both Jennifer and Simone had kids with that age difference, and I think I would love to hear from both of you. Thank you.
So yes, it can be challenging sometimes. I think, especially under the conditions that we've all had to go through in the last year. So, but I think that the most important thing for me is making sure that I've read this somewhere, and really that's what works for me. As they escalate, you try to de-escalate, like just always being that calming presence. I think in Montessori classrooms are mixed age classrooms, and I almost think she got that idea maybe from homes where you have children of different ages. What I found for my children is that I sometimes sit and just kind of sportscast, like, talk through what is happening with them. And I allow, sometimes they have disagreements, and that's okay. I think as adults, we are, for many of us, it's almost like when your children argue, it's a trigger, like you almost feel like you always want them to be at peace. But if they're like, they have disagreements, and I'm there to be the calming one who kind of calms that down, and I allow it because that's normal. I try to provide activities that they can work on together, that they can work on at different levels. Things like blocks are great because every child can build at their own pace or at their own level, something more intricate. Something that I found to work also is that when I see that maybe my youngest might be interfering with the oldest work, because usually the older ones want to do more intricate things, right? And the younger one wants to participate, but maybe cannot do so appropriately. So I might join in and just maybe play or work with my youngest. So we're all together. I'm engaging her because she's looking to just socialize, and that allows the older ones to do what they need to do. So I do that. And then mostly I just try to encourage them to just enjoy each other's company. We spend a lot of time together. We also do a lot of practical life things that require all of us to work together. So we cook a lot together. We read books together. I just do a lot to make us get used to being together. So for them, that's their norm. They're used to, I have never had, like, I think maybe when they were much younger, I tried to have separate spaces for them. But for the most part, they've always had one space that they've always had to share. And so over time, they learn how to live together. This is your sibling. You guys are going to share this room maybe for 18 years, maybe more. So you kind of have to learn how to get along. And so we do things to build our relationship together. And then when they have disagreement, we just try to get out of it as peacefully as we can, knowing that it's part of life. So, but I know that this year has been a little challenging because my secret weapon, when everything else fails, we go outside, like outside this space, we go outside, climb trees, ride your bike, go on a hike. I find that being outside, I don't know, it does something for us. There's enough space for everyone. Everyone finds what they enjoy. Everyone can move at their own pace. So I think that, even with the lockdown, I hope that everyone is finding opportunities and time to go outside, because I think it's healing and it's such an important part of my children's relationship is the time spent outside. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
No, great. I think that is tremendous. And the secret weapon speaks to one of the other questions in terms of getting outside to some extent. So again, I know there are so many questions. I have many more questions also. So we're going to have to get the book, and, really delve into this love letter, and really be able to soak up many of the questions and really just the wisdom that they share in this book. So I'm going to ask maybe Simone, if you would put your email, and maybe if you don't mind folk contacting you with other questions, or, Junifer, if you don't mind folk contacting you, because I'm sure folk, if they're like me, they have other questions, so you'll be able to reach out. But again, I think, getting the book is the best answer that I could give right now. All right. So with that said, again, thank you so much to everyone that has joined us for this birthing celebration. Woohoo! It has been tremendous. And I'm going to hand the mic back over to Simone and Junifer and just say congratulations. Woohoo! We need to all be popping some more balloons or something right now.
Well, we just wanted to say a big thank you to Dr. Ayize. Yeah, there's the balloons, for hosting this book launch. He always brings so much joy, so we couldn't think of anyone better to celebrate with. And to all of you for joining us, and to my lovely Junifer, thank you so much for writing this book with me.
Thank you, Simone. I can't imagine writing it with anyone else. Thank you for, this has been a lot for me. With teaching, having young children, running a school. So the only way we've been able to do it has been for Simone to carry some of the extra weights, so any of the things that I don't have to do, she doesn't let me do it. She does the extra, and I really appreciate that. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for giving so much of yourself. It has been such a blessing and an honor, and I'm so grateful. Thank you to everyone for honoring our invitation and for being here. I really hope that this book touches you and touches your family, your friends, and everyone that you share it with. And I hope that all of this work, all of the love that we're sowing into our children, I hope that it bears so much fruit for the world. I hope that I know that the world will be better because of our children. I know that I always think about, maybe we can't reach everyone, but when I think about cooking food or even like a room, you need only one bulb and there's light in the room. You don't need to have even if you don't have 100 bulbs, if you just have one bulb, the room is bright already. And if you cook a pot of food and you just put a little bit of salt, already the food is tasty, even if you don't have, as much salt as rice. And I think about our children as the light, as the salt that is going to make the world better. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity to support your families and to just know you and walk this walk together. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
What she said. Thank you, everyone. That was a delight.
Yeah, thank you all so much. So you all continue to be blessed, and again, take this little bit of love so that we can transform the world. Woohoo!
Thank you so much. This was wonderful.